At 2 a.m., my phone rang, and that single call tore me out of my ordinary, broken life as a widowed father and threw me into a storm of danger, betrayal, and choices I never thought I'd face. I only wanted to protect my daughter, but fate placed another life in my hands, one that would change everything. Do you believe in second chances, in love rising from ashes, in destiny showing up when you least expect it? If yes, like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. The buzzing yanked me out of sleep. I blinked, heart pounding, and reached for my phone. The screen glared 2:03 a.m. Beside me, my little girl shifted, hugging her stuffed bear tighter. I whispered, "Shoo, it's okay, Pumpkin," before sliding out of bed. I answered, voice low and rough. "Hello?" A pause, then a woman's trembling voice. Is this Daniel Hayes?" My chest tightened. "Who's asking?" I got your number from someone I trusted. Please don't hang up. I need help." Something in her tone, a mix of fear and desperation, made me grip the phone harder. "You got the wrong guy. I don't do this anymore." "No, please. They said you were the one. They said you wouldn't ignore a call like this." Her breath hitched. "I'm not safe. If you hang up, I might not live until morning." I closed my eyes. "God, why me?" Behind me, my daughter stirred again. "Daddy?" she murmured, half asleep. I turned back. "It's okay, sweetie. Go back to sleep." She settled, face soft in the moonlight. I lowered my voice. "Lady, I don't even know who you are." "You don't need to," she said, desperate. "Just please come." I felt that old pull, the one I buried since leaving the military. I had sworn I'd never go chasing ghosts again. But her voice, it wasn't just fear. It was loneliness. My throat burned. "Text me the address." "Thank you," she whispered, and the line went dead. 10 minutes later, I was pulling on jeans and a jacket. My boots thudded on the worn wooden floor as I grabbed my keys. From the doorway, a small voice broke the silence. "Daddy, where you going?" I froze. My daughter rubbed her eyes. Bear clutched tight. I knelt, forcing a smile. "Just a quick errand, baby girl. I'll be back before you wake up." Her lip quivered. "You promise?" "I promise." I kissed her forehead. "Stay inside, lock the door. Uncle Joe's next door if you need anything." She nodded, though worry lingered in her eyes. She was too young to understand the world, but old enough to sense my lies. I stepped out into the rain. The night swallowed me whole as I drove. Headlights carved narrow tunnels through sheets of water. My wipers squeaked, barely keeping up. Her words replayed in my head. "If you hang up, I might not live until morning." Why me? Out of all the names, all the numbers, mine came up. I tightened my grip on the wheel. Maybe this was punishment. Or maybe it was something else. I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired eyes. A man who looked older than 34. My wife's ghost lingered there too. I heard her last words like a curse. "Promise me, no matter what, you'll protect her. You'll protect our daughter." I'd failed her once. I couldn't fail again. But was driving out to some stranger's mansion at 2 a.m. protecting my daughter? Or was it dragging danger closer to us both? I muttered to myself, "You're a damn fool, Daniel." The rain answered with thunder. The GPS guided me off the highway, through winding country roads. Trees leaned over the narrow path, shadows flickering in my headlights. My gut twisted with every turn. Finally, the trees broke. Through the downpour, iron gates loomed ahead, tall, cold, and unwelcoming. Beyond them, faint lights glowed on a hilltop. I pulled over, killed the engine. For a moment, I just sat there, hands gripping the wheel until my knuckles went white. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back. But I thought of her voice, shaking yet stubborn. "Please, don't hang up." And I thought of my daughter, sleeping alone, trusting me to keep my word. I whispered, "God help me," and pushed the door open. Rain drenched me instantly, soaking through my jacket. My boots splashed against the gravel. As I approached the gates, the mansion loomed in the distance, silent and watchful. I laid my hand on the cold iron bars, took one breath, then another. Whatever waited on the other side, I knew one thing for certain. My life wasn't going to be the same after tonight. Rain slid down my neck as the gates creaked open. I walked the long driveway, every step echoing against the storm. The mansion towered above, lit only by a handful of dim lights. The front door was unlocked. That bothered me. I pushed it open slowly, hand instinctively brushing where a weapon used to hang years ago. Inside, silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Then, her voice. "You came." I turned. A woman stood in the hall, a red dress clinging to her like fire against the shadows. Her face was pale, smeared with tears. A bruise colored her cheek. "Are you the one who called me?" I asked. She nodded, arms crossed tightly over her chest as if holding herself together. "They tried to take me tonight." Her words trembled, but her eyes didn't leave mine. I fought them off, barely. Everyone around me works for money, and money buys betrayal. I couldn't trust anyone except maybe you. I frowned. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," she whispered, "that you answered when no one else did." My jaw clenched. I should have walked back out right then. But I didn't. We moved into a vast sitting room. Firelight flickered in the hearth, but gave no warmth. She poured herself water with shaking hands, then sat on the edge of a velvet chair. I stayed standing. "Why me? Out of everyone, why drag me into this?" She hesitated. "A friend of a friend said you once protected people. They said you don't run when things get ugly. Lady, I've got a daughter at home. I don't jump into rich people's problems." Her voice cracked. "This isn't about wealth. It's about survival. Do you think I care about my money tonight? I care about being alive tomorrow morning." I looked at her. Under the diamonds and silk, she wasn't a billionaire's heir. She was a woman cornered, scared the way my little girl had been when her mom died. That same fear. Empty, raw, begging for someone not to leave. She leaned forward, whispering, "You want to walk away. I see it in your eyes. But if you leave, I don't think I'll make it until daylight." I rubbed a hand over my face. "Damn it. Please," she said softly. "Just tonight. Just stay until morning." Her words pressed on me like chains. My instinct screamed danger. My pride hissed, "Don't get used by the rich." But then I remember my daughter's small hand tugging mine at the cemetery, asking if Mommy was ever coming back. The same helplessness lived in this woman's eyes right now. I sighed, sinking into a chair across from her. "Fine. I'll stay until the sun comes up." Her shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you." I shook my head. "Don't thank me yet. I'm not your savior. I'm just making sure I don't wake up tomorrow, reading your name in the paper." She met my eyes, voice barely audible. "Even that is more than anyone else has done for me." The fire popped. The storm howled against the glass. My gut tightened. Everything about this place told me I didn't belong here. But when she glanced at me, afraid yet hopeful, I knew I wasn't leaving. Not tonight. The fire cracked, but the relief in her shoulders didn't last long. I stayed in that chair, listening. The storm outside had calmed, but inside this mansion, the silence was heavier than thunder. I finally said, "Doors locked?" She shook her head. "Some. Not all." I stood. "Show me." We walked to the hallways, our footsteps muffled against thick carpets. My eyes scanned corners, mirrors, shadows. Old habits never die. My pulse kept a steady rhythm, like it was back in the field. At one door, the lock hung broken. I touched the jagged metal. "They forced this one." She hugged her arms. "That was earlier. They came in from the garden. I heard them. The masks, the heavy boots." "You call the cops?" Her bitter laugh echoed. "Police on my family's peril? Half of them would have driven the kidnappers themselves." Her words landed heavy. Money couldn't buy safety. Not real safety. We checked more doors, more windows. Some locked, some cracked, some wide open like an invitation. I muttered, "Place is big. You need an army to watch it properly." "I used to have one," she whispered. "Bodyguards. assistants, friends. She swallowed. Now I don't know which of them would rather see me dead. Her voice carried a hollow ache I knew too well, the kind that comes when the people closest to you stop being safe. You trust anyone at all? I asked. Her eyes flickered to me. I trusted you enough to make that call. That sat between us, sharp as glass. We ended up in a long corridor lined with portraits. A stern man stared from every frame. Her father, I guessed. She slowed at the last door, hand trembling before she pushed it open. The library smelled of dust and old smoke. Shelves climbed the walls, filled with books that probably hadn't been touched in years. A single lamp burned on the desk, soft yellow light pooling around stacks of papers. She lingered by the window. This was his room. My father's. He trusted no one either. Maybe it runs in the blood. I stayed by the doorway, watching her. She looked fragile in that red dress, like a flame flickering against the darkness. Finally, she said it. I haven't slept in weeks. Every time I close my eyes, I see their faces. And when I open them, I wonder which of my own people sharpen the knife behind my back. Her voice cracked then. Do you know what it's like to live in a house full of people and still feel completely alone? I swallowed hard. My throat burned. Yeah, I know exactly what that's like. She turned, eyes shining. I just wanted someone who wouldn't betray me. Someone who wouldn't sell me for a handful of bills. My chest tightened. For a moment, I saw my daughter's small face instead, her eyes after the funeral, when she clutched my sleeve and whispered, Don't leave me too, Daddy. That same fear, that same plea. I dragged in a breath. People will disappoint you. That's what they do. But not everyone's out to break you. Her voice was barely a whisper. Then why do I feel like everyone has? I didn't have an answer. Not one she'd believe. We sat there, her on the edge of her father's desk, me in a chair by the wall. The silence stretched, filled with the ticking of an old grandfather clock. I kept thinking about my daughter, about her small body curled up under blankets, safe, or maybe not safe at all, while I was here, miles away, protecting someone I didn't even know. What kind of father does that? A reckless one? Or a desperate one who still can't stop trying to make up for every failure? Maybe both. The lamp flickered once. Then again, I stiffened. Did you see that? She nodded, breath shallow. Somewhere down the hall, faint, too faint, a floorboard creaked. Every instinct in me snapped awake. My skin prickled. Stay behind me. She obeyed without a word, clutching the edge of my jacket. We listened. Another creak. Then silence. I whispered, It's nothing. But I didn't believe it. Her grip tightened. They'll come back, won't they? I kept my eyes on the door. If they do, they'll wish they hadn't. The clock struck 5. Dawn wasn't far. But as the minutes bled on, I knew the quiet wouldn't hold. Something was waiting out there in the dark. And it wasn't finished with her. Or with me. Glass shattered somewhere down the hall. The sound of boots followed. Fast, heavy, deliberate. I turned to her. Get down. Her eyes widened. But she obeyed, crouching low behind the desk. My pulse hammered steady, controlled. It was the old rhythm, the one I thought I buried years ago. The door blew open. 2 men in masks stormed in, blades glinting in the dim light. One snarled, Where is she? I stepped forward. Wrong room. The first lunged. I grabbed his wrist, twisted, drove my elbow into his throat. He choked, dropped the blade. My boot sent him crashing into the bookshelf, with splintering. The second came at me with a pipe. The swing whooshed past my ear, close enough to feel the air shift. I ducked, slammed my fist into his gut, then his jaw. The crack echoed. Pain lit through my knuckles, but I kept going. Every strike dragged me back to dusty streets overseas, nights filled with shouts and blood. I swore I'd left it all behind. But muscle memory doesn't forget. From the corner, her trembling voice. Behind you? I spun just in time. A third one had slipped in. His knife kissed the side of my arm before I caught his wrist. My blood warmed my sleeve, but adrenaline drowned the sting. I growled, twisting hard until he screamed. The knife clattered. I shoved him into the wall, pinned him there with my forearm. Who sent you? He spat blood, sneered through the mask. You'll find out soon enough. I slammed him harder. Answer me. He laughed. The kind of laugh that said he didn't care if he lived through this night. I let my fist do the talking. He dropped limp. She crawled out from behind the desk, face pale. You're bleeding. I glanced at the cut. Just a scratch. Her eyes didn't move from mine. You fought like you've done this before. My jaw tightened. I told you, I don't do this anymore. Then why did you come? She asked softly. The question gutted me. Why did I? Because some broken part of me still couldn't ignore a cry for help. Because I saw in her eyes the same fear I'd once seen in my daughter's. I didn't answer. Couldn't. More footsteps thundered closer. I yanked the fallen pipe from the floor. My muscles tensed. 3 more men rushed in. No words, just violence. I swung, metal clashing against bone. Another fist to the jaw. Another kick to the knee. One went down hard. Another tackled me, slamming me into the floor. His hands clawed for my throat. She screamed, "Stop it." I fought for breath, veins burning. My vision blurred until I drove my thumb into his eye. He howled, rolling off me. I grabbed the knife from the floor, held it steady. My chest heaved, every breath ragged. The last one hesitated, eyes darting from me to the woman. For a split second, I saw doubt in him. Then he bolted, cowered. Sirens wailed faint in the distance. Late, too late. She pressed a trembling hand to my arm. They're gone, they're gone. I lowered the knife, let it fall. My whole body trembled, sweat mixing with blood. The fight was over, but my mind was still there, in the sand, in the dark, in every place I'd sworn I'd never go again. I sat on the floor, head in my hands. God, what am I doing? She knelt in front of me, her red dress brushing the dust. You saved me. I lifted my eyes to her. She didn't look afraid anymore. She looked at me like I was the only solid ground left in her world. I don't even know your name. I muttered. Evelyn, she said quietly. Evelyn Cole. The name rang bells, headlines, boardrooms, scandals. Heiress of an empire. But right now, she wasn't any of that. She was just a woman clinging to survival. Police finally stormed in, too loud, too late. They asked questions I didn't bother answering. Evelyn barely looked at them. She stayed close, her eyes never leaving me. When they cleared the bodies and dragged the unconscious ones out, the mansion felt hollow again. I stood, wiping blood from my arm. It's done. You'll be fine now. Her hand caught my sleeve. Don't go. I froze. Please, she whispered, voice cracking. I don't trust them. I only trust you. Her grip was small but fierce, her eyes pleading. I wanted to walk away. Every bone in me screamed to, but her fear was the same fear I'd carried in my daughter's eyes, and I couldn't ignore it. Not tonight. I sighed, shoulders heavy. All right, just for tonight. Relief washed over her face like sunrise breaking through clouds. But inside, my gut twisted. I'd stepped into a fight I never asked for, and something told me it was only the beginning. Her grip was still on my sleeve when the last cop left. The silence returned, heavy and raw. Don't go, Evelyn whispered again, her voice steadier now. Stay. Be my guard. Be my friend. I let out a bitter laugh. Friend? You saw what I just did. I'm not exactly the kind of guy you want hanging around. I saw a man who saved me, she said. Not because he was paid. Not because he had to. Because he chose to. I shook my head. I'm not a hero. I'm just a single dad trying to keep food on the table. Her eyes softened. Then let me help you. Stay here. I'll make sure you and your daughter are safe. Secure. The word secure twisted something in my chest. Bills piled on the counter at home flashed through my mind. Late notices, rent breathing down my neck. My little girl asking if I was okay when she saw me holding my head in my hands. I muttered, I don't need charity. It's not charity, she said quickly. It's mutual. You protect me, and in return, I protect your family. Isn't that fair? I wanted to walk out. Pride told me to, but her words clung to me like chains. You don't know what you're asking, I said quietly. This isn't just about me. My daughter, she's all I've got. I won't drag her into danger. Evelyn leaned closer. Then bring her here. Let me meet her. My chest tightened. I wasn't ready for that. My world was small, broken, barely held together with duct tape and stubbornness. And she wanted to step into it? You don't understand, I whispered. Then help me understand, she pressed. Hours later, when the blood was cleaned and the police reports filed, I drove home. My daughter was waiting on the couch, her blanket wrapped around her shoulders like armor. Daddy, she said, eyes wide. You're late. I forced a smile. Yeah, baby girl. Work ran long. She studied me. She always saw through me. Her gaze fell on the bandage around my arm. You got hurt again. Just a scratch, I said, brushing it off. Nothing to worry about. Promise? I promise. Her little arms wrapped around me, and for a second the weight of the night almost broke me. The next day, I brought her with me. Against every instinct, against a voice in my head screaming, don't do this, I walked her into Evelyn's mansion. My daughter clutched my hand, whispering, it's so big. Evelyn came down the grand staircase, no longer the trembling woman from last night, but still fragile in her own way. She smiled at my daughter, a soft, careful smile. And who is this? Evelyn asked. My whole world. I said simply, her name's Lily. Lily peeked out from behind me. Hi. Evelyn knelt down, so they were eye level. Hi, Lily. Do you like hot chocolate? Lily's eyes lit up. With marshmallows? Extra marshmallows, Evelyn promised. For the first time in months, I saw my little girl laugh, really laugh. The sound hit me harder than any punch from last night. While they sat at the table, mugs in hand, Evelyn glanced at me over Lily's shoulder. Her eyes said, see, this isn't just about me. It's about her too. Lily chattered, her blanket slipping from her shoulders as she told Evelyn about her favorite cartoons, her drawings, the dog she wanted someday. Evelyn listened like it was the most important story in the world. My throat tightened. I hadn't seen anyone give my daughter that kind of attention since her mom left. And damn it, I want to keep seeing it. When Lily ran off to explore the giant living room, Evelyn spoke low. Stay. Not just for me. For her. I stared at the untouched coffee in front of me. My pride screamed no. My fear screamed run. But the sound of Lily's laughter upstairs drowned both out. I exhaled slowly. All right, I'll stay. Evelyn's relief was visible, though she tried to hide it behind a small smile. As for me, I didn't smile. I knew better. Peace like this never lasted. And deep down, I knew it wouldn't here either. That night, I sat awake in the hallway outside Evelyn's study, listening to the crack of the fireplace. Lily was asleep upstairs in the guest room, her stuffed bear tucked under her chin. My little girl was finally resting easy, and I should have felt relief. But the air in the mansion carried weight, like a storm waiting to break. The door creaked behind me. Evelyn stepped out, her red dress replaced with a simple robe. You don't have to sit out here all night, she said softly. Habit, I muttered. Old training. Do you ever sleep? Not well. She studied me for a moment, like she wanted to ask more, but held it back. Instead, she whispered, thank you for staying. I shrugged. You'll regret it. Her lips curved into something close to a smile. I doubt that. I didn't answer. Instead, I listened. A faint shuffle echoed down the corridor. Not mine. Not hers. Stay here, I murmured, already moving toward the sound. No! She started, but I was gone. The hallway stretched long and dark, lit by scattered lamps. My boots pressed against the old carpet, steady, silent. I caught a flicker of shadow near the library door. Who's there? I called. Silence. Then a low voice. You shouldn't have stayed. I lunged, grabbing the figure by the collar, slamming him against the wall. It was Daniel, the advisor Evelyn had introduced earlier. His eyes burned with something colder than fear. "You!" I hissed. "Why are you sneaking around at midnight?" He smirked. "Protecting her, are you? You don't know who you're dealing with." I shoved harder. "Try me?" "She's weak," he spat. "She doesn't deserve this empire. People like her, spoiled, fragile, they destroy everything they touch. Better for all of us if she's gone." My grip tightened. Rage pulsed hot in my chest. "You plotting against her?" He sneered. "Not plotting. Acting." The flash of steel caught my eye. Too late. His knife slashed upward. Pain seared across my forearm as I blocked the strike. The blade nicked deep, blood running hot down my wrist. I ripped the weapon free, with a twist that made him howl. "Drop it." I growled. He struggled, but my knee drove into his gut, and he crumpled. The knife clattered to the floor. Evelyn's scream rang down the hallway. "What's happening?" I turned and froze. Another man had slipped in through the side door. His hand gripped her arm, a blade pressing against her ribs. "Let her go." I barked. He snarled. "Step closer and she bleeds." My vision tunneled. I saw not Evelyn, but my wife, the last night in that hospital, her voice weak, whispering, "Promise me you'll never stop saving people." I'd broken promises before, but not that one. Never that one. I raised my hands. "All right, you win. Just take me instead." Evelyn gasped. "No." The man faltered, just enough. I drove forward, faster than thought, crashing my shoulder into him. The knife sliced across Evelyn's side, shallow but bleeding. Her cry tore through me. I ripped her free, holding her close as the man scrambled to his feet and bolted into the dark. I didn't chase him. My arms were full, her blood warm against my shirt. "Stay with me," I muttered, pressing my palm to her wound. Her eyes fluttered, glassy with pain. Why are you helping me?" The words cut deep. Why? Why not leave her to her rich world of enemies and betrayal? Why risk everything when I already had too much to lose? Because I'd heard them again, my wife's last words. "Promise me you'll never stop saving people." My voice cracked as I whispered, because I promised someone I'd never stop, and breaking that promise would mean breaking myself. I carried Evelyn to the halls, her weight light but heavy with everything it meant. Lily's laughter from earlier echoed in my head, mocking me. What the hell was I doing bringing my daughter into this? Evelyn's hand clutched my shirt weakly. "You could have walked away." "Yeah." I breathed, pushing through the study door into the light. "But I didn't." She tried to smile. "You're insane." "Maybe." Her eyes softened, lids heavy. "Or maybe you're the first person who hasn't betrayed me." Then her body went limp in my arms. I laid her carefully on the couch, blood soaking through the fabric. My arm throbbed, my mind screamed, but I kept my hand steady against her wound. "Don't you dare quit on me," I whispered. "Not tonight." The fire crackled, throwing shadows on the walls. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this wasn't just her fight anymore. It was mine too. And no matter how much danger waited, I couldn't walk away. Not after this. Her body felt too light in my arms, yet heavy with the weight of everything I couldn't fix. I pressed the cloth harder against her side. Blood stained my hands, my shirt, the couch cushions beneath her. "Stay with me," I whispered again, even though her eyes were half closed. Minutes dragged like hours, but finally the bleeding slowed. Her breathing steadied, shaky but alive. Relief washed over me, though it burned in my throat like fire. I leaned back, exhausted, my own arm throbbing from the knife wound. The storm outside had softened to a drizzle, but inside, the silence carried all the thunder I couldn't shake. Her voice broke through it. "You should let me go." I shook my head. "Not happening." "You don't understand," she whispered. "My whole life, people protect me only because they're paid to, because of what my name's worth. But you," she winced, swallowing pain, "you don't owe me anything." I tightened the bandage around her waist. "I don't need to owe you. You're bleeding in front of me. That's enough." Her lips curved into a faint, Bitter smile. You're strange. Been called worse. She shifted slightly, eyes glistening in the firelight. I grew up in this house, surrounded by gold. Chandeliers, dresses, private schools, but no one ever asked me if I was happy. Everyone wanted something. A contract, a favor, a piece of me. And when you live like that long enough, her voice cracked. You start to believe you're not a person anymore, just a prize people fight over. I sat quietly, her words clawing at something deep in me. I thought of Lily, asleep upstairs. Thought of how she clutched her bear, not knowing half the monsters the world could hold. I cleared my throat. I get it. Different world, but I get it. Her tired eyes lifted. How could you? I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding, because I lost mine. My wife, the one person who didn't want anything from me but me. After she died, it was just me and my little girl. Some nights, I'd put my daughter to bed, then sit in the dark staring at the wall, wondering if she'd be better off without me, wondering if maybe I was enough. The words tasted like blood, but once they started, I couldn't stop. She reached for my hand, weak but steady. And yet you stayed. I nodded, my chest tight. Yeah, for her, for Lily. She's all I've got left. And when she smiles, God, it's like the world makes sense again. Evelyn's eyes softened, a tear sliding down her cheek. I don't remember the last time I smiled for real. I looked at her differently then, not as the heiress, not as a target, just as a woman who was bleeding in front of me in more ways than one. You will again, I said quietly. Maybe not tonight, but you will. We sat there, silence heavy but not crushing. My wound stung, her breathing rattled, but somehow I felt lighter, like the weight I'd carried alone for years had finally shifted, even if just a little. She whispered, Do you ever stop missing her? Your wife. I swallowed hard. No, but the pain changes. It goes from something that buries you to something that reminds you of the love, of the moments you still carry. It never leaves, but it teaches you how to stand again. Her gaze locked on mine, raw and unguarded. I wish someone had loved me like that. I squeezed her hand gently. Maybe you just haven't found the right people yet. The fire crackled, the only sound between us for a while. My eyes burned, but I didn't look away. We were two broken souls in a house too big for either of us, bleeding from wounds the world couldn't see. For the first time since I stepped into that mansion, I didn't see her as an heiress in danger. I saw her as human, flawed, hurting, just like me. And maybe that was why I couldn't walk away anymore. A creak upstairs shattered the quiet. My head snapped up. My instinct screamed. This wasn't Lily. Evelyn stiffened. What was that? I stood, reaching for the knife I'd taken earlier. Trouble. The shadows in the hallway shifted, darker than they should have been. Peace had lasted only minutes. And now it was gone. The creak upstairs turned into a crash, then another. I gripped the knife tighter, my pulse pounding. Evelyn sat up slowly, clutching her side. Stay here, I whispered. She shook her head. I'm not hiding anymore. Before I could argue, the windows rattled. Headlights cut through the curtains. Engines. Doors slamming. Boots on gravel. My stomach dropped. They're here. I bolted up the stairs two at a time, heart hammering. I threw Lily's door open. She sat up in bed, rubbing her eyes, clutching her bear. Daddy? I scooped her up, holding her close. Quiet now, baby. Just hold on to me. Her small arms wrapped around my neck. The smell of smoke hit me then, sharp, choking. Evelyn's voice echoed from below. The gates. I ran back down. Through the tall windows, I saw flames licking up the iron gates at the edge of the property. Men swarmed in, guns glinting under the firelight. Move! I barked. We ducked into the main hall as glass shattered. Bullets tore through portraits of people long dead. Evelyn grabbed a heavy candlestick, like it was a sword. You should run. I hissed at her. Her eyes blazed. I'm done running. The doors burst open. 3 men stormed in, faces masked, weapons raised. Stay behind me. I growled. setting Lily down behind the couch. "No, Daddy," she cried, clutching my shirt. I knelt, forcing my voice steady. "Bear, hold her. Keep her safe. I'll be right back." Her bottom lip trembled, but she nodded, hugging her stuffed bear tighter. Then I turned to the intruders. The first one lunged. Training I thought I'd buried lit up in my body. My fist cracked his jaw before he could aim, the sound splitting louder than thunder. He collapsed. Another swung his rifle toward Evelyn. She didn't hesitate, brought the candlestick crashing against his skull. He staggered, dazed, and I slammed him down hard. The last one fired. The shot missed my head by inches, exploding wood from the wall. Rage lit me on fire. I dove, knife flashing, knocking the gun wide. A struggle, a grunt, a scream, and then silence. My chest heaved, sweat and blood dripping down my arms. But outside, the roar grew louder. More were coming. Smoke crawled along the ceiling. Fire spread from the gates, licking the walls, consuming the curtains. The mansion groaned like a beast in its death throes. Evelyn's face shone with sweat. Dirt smeared across her cheeks. But her eyes, those eyes, held fire too. "We can't hold them forever," I said. "Then we don't hold. We fight through." I stared at her. Fragile, wounded, rich heiress? No, not anymore. She's still like someone who'd been broken too many times and finally decided to break back. The next wave crashed in. Gunfire. Shouts. My daughter's scream cut through the smoke, slicing my heart open. I don't remember the details. I only remember the rage. Every punch, every strike, every throw. It wasn't just fighting. It was survival. It was protecting the two people who now carry my heart in their hands. Evelyn fought too, swinging, shoving, refusing to fall. Once, she tripped and I caught her. She looked up at me, gasping. "You don't let go, do you?" "Not the people worth holding." I rasped. By the time the last man dropped, the mansion was unrecognizable. Flames devoured the staircase. Smoke clawed down our throats. "Out the back!" I shouted. We staggered through the servants' hall, Lily clinging to me, Evelyn leaning against my shoulder. Heat blistered the air, with cracking, chandeliers crashing down behind us. The final door gave way, spilling us into the cold night. Rain mixed with ash as we stumbled onto the lawn. I collapsed to my knees, Lily safe in my arms, Evelyn beside me coughing hard. The house roared behind us, fire swallowing it whole. We sat there, broken, bruised, watching her empire burn to nothing. Lily buried her face in my chest. "Daddy, I'm scared." I kissed the top of her head. "I know, baby, but we're okay. We're alive. That's what matters." Evelyn whispered hoarsely, "Everything's gone." I looked at her, hair wild, clothes torn, smoke blackening her skin. And yet, she'd stood and fought when every instinct told her to run. "No," I said quietly, "not everything." She turned her head, eyes meeting mine. Something unspoken burned there, deeper than fire. The mansion collapsed with a final scream of metal and stone. Ash rained over us like snow. We had nothing left but each other. And somehow, that was more than I'd had in years. The fire finally died when the night surrendered to dawn. I stood in the wet grass, Lily pressed against my leg, Evelyn beside me, all three of us staring at what was left. Smoke curling out of black skeleton walls, embers crackling like dying breaths. Lily's small hand slipped into Evelyn's, as if it had always belonged there. "Daddy," she whispered, eyes wide, "where do we live now?" The question pierced deeper than any bullet. My throat tightened. But before I could answer, Evelyn crouched and brushed ash from Lily's cheek. "You'll live where you're loved," she said softly. I swallowed hard. My chest ached, not just from the fight, but from the weight of all the years I'd carried alone. Evelyn turned to me, her hand still holding my daughter's. Her voice shook, but her eyes didn't. "Don't leave. Not as my guard. Not as protection. Stay as family." For a moment, the world went silent. Even the fire seemed to hush, waiting. "Family?" I repeated, my voice rough. She nodded once. "I don't care about the ashes. I care about this." About us. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Daddy, can she be ours? My knees nearly buckled. God, how many nights had I prayed my daughter would feel whole again? How many times had I convinced myself I wasn't enough for her? I crouched low, meeting her eyes. Do you really want that? She looked between me and Evelyn, then clutched Evelyn's hand tighter. Yeah, I don't want us to be alone anymore. My throat burned. For the first time since my wife's death, the emptiness inside me shifted. The pieces didn't vanish. But they didn't crush me either. Evelyn reached out her free hand to me. Her palm trembled, her breath unsteady. I never had a real family, she admitted, voice barely above the crackle of cooling wood. Maybe we can build one, even if it's not perfect. I stared at her hand, at Lily's hopeful eyes, at the ruins of everything we thought mattered. Ash still clung to us, but beneath it, something new stirred, fragile but alive. Yeah, I whispered, sliding my hand into hers. Maybe we already started. The first rays of dawn broke across the horizon, painting the smoke in gold. Lily leaned her head against Evelyn's arm. Evelyn leaned into me, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like a man holding broken pieces. I felt like a man holding on to something worth keeping. Home wasn't a place anymore. It wasn't brick or wood or lock gates. It was us, standing in the ashes, together,